Peace, family. I want to greet all the family here. Peace, Hotep, all those good positive greetings. Black people, our family here in Philadelphia and abroad. First of all, we want to thank the owners of this establishment for inviting us out or accepting us here for us to do what we intend to do this afternoon. We come with humility and respect, understanding that we are in the city of brotherly love. And everything that we say today and present to you all as family is in the spirit of brotherly love and in the spirit of unity, even if at times it sounds like it's contrary. In order for us to establish unity in the community and to create effective alliances, we must establish respect, rules of engagement, and the protocols of brotherhood and sisterhood. We are in this city formally announcing the Islam Locked and Loaded Tour. Islam Locked and Loaded and Fully Off Safety. The intent of this particular gathering is, by the time we are done, if it be the grace of Allah, all of us will come to an understanding and an agreement that this particular tour is not only necessary, but is timely. And it will result in, inshallah, the unification of all the various school of thought that is in our community for one common goal and purpose. The Lions Out the Cage and Allah team has a saying that we want you all to get familiar with, in addition to several more that you will be acquainted with by the end of this session. If we step out in front of you, it is not to take your place. It is to take the bullet. Based on the situation and the condition of our people throughout America and abroad, we have to understand that at some point, the black man and black woman are to assume their righteous and destined place in the big scheme of things in terms of rulership and ownership of this planet that we call Earth. The many tribal wars abroad and inside of America can be directly traced and attributed to Islam's apparent failure in taking ownership of the condition and applying ourselves determined-wise to put an end to the madness and the set tripping and the gang banging that is taking place in various Afrocentric religious schools of thought. Individuals are powerful, and individuals are significant, and individuals are absolutely necessary for this movement. But we've had individuals before. Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm, Farrakhan, Khalid. And those individuals are powerful individuals, and there is a movement behind them that gives them the ability to more effectively and efficiently be themselves. This is the first time in our history that the movement with a deliberate, organized, structured movement and demonstration where the movement, which is a group of individuals, are coming up at the same time, group-wise. Each one of us have our own attributes and valuable qualities to offer to this movement. It is our agreement that causes us to be a group. It is our differences that make each and every one of us necessary. This is a microcosm of the macrocosm. Every single leader, teacher, philosophy, school of thought, religion is absolutely necessary for us to win what we are embarked in right now. Listen, we are presently at war, whether we know it or not. Once everybody is clear that we're at war, in other words, once the war comes to a certain point where everybody on the street knows we're at a war, we're in a war, if we do not prepare for it now, that is going to be too late. Because the war is already taking place right now, but our people are unaware of it because of the war's intricacies, right? He's a scholar. The complexities and the details, they are doing some wicked things, and they're attacking us through the food, the water, YouTube, Facebook, all of it, and we're in the middle of a war. So only those who are informed and are conscious right now understand that we are in a war. When it becomes obvious that we are in a war, it might be too late if we who are conscious of the war right now fails to perform our duty. To that regard, we have Brother Mikiel, who is a military strategist, and he's an expert at war tactics. We have my brother, True Islam, a.k.a. Dr. Wesley Muhammad, who is an expert on the Book of God and the scientific and historical realities of the black man's and woman's divinity. To my right, I have Brother Wakil Allah, who is an expert among many things, people relationships, beautiful brothers, and the history of the so-called NGE, the 5% Nation of Islam, the 5%ers, and the FOI and the NOI. He is our resident scholar and historian. My brother here, he's a member of the Lions Out the Cave, and he is an expert in farmland and the need for farming. Brother Wakil Allah and Brother Martin F. Muhammad. Brother Martin F. Muhammad is a member of the Lions Out the Cave, and he's an expert on farmland, land acquisition. He is in the present moment right now developing an agricultural army, and he is a chief defender of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Brotherhood. I myself, I don't like talking about myself, but I got to do it. I am considered an expert on the political and economic powers that exist behind hip-hop. I have a book that is not here, it's gone, but so long. And it's called The Hip-Hop Nation of Willie Lynch's Blue Enslaved. And that book exposes the hidden hand behind not just hip-hop, but pornography, internet, the original mafia and organized crime syndicate, and other institutions of media and entertainment that are controlling the youth and impacting the global politics like at a global level. That's what I do. But my number one duty in this time is to defend the brand. The brand which we all defend and we are completely dedicated to defending is the Nation of Islam and Islam in general, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and the brothers and sisters that are members of the Nation of Islam. That is our duty, to defend the brand. It is also my duty and our duty to represent, and these brothers are going to get into it more deeply, to represent to you the Nation of Islam, because many people out of their ignorance, agent behavior, need to be somebody and get their personal shine. Many people on YouTube and throughout the community building up their personal resume or their purpose, their personal status by attacking the Nation of Islam and the character and integrity of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. One of the things that we are going to do is serve notes across the country that the open disregard for the minister in the Nation of Islam, and you taking pot shots at the fruit because we sell final calls, because we're delivering paper and information to our community, and we make fun of them and we treat them like they are not soldiers and that they will not give their lives to any one of the brothers and sisters in the street, or we we allow prostitution and dope dealing and an open disregard of the respect of the black woman. See, when they're on the corner, they're using the paper. But the paper is just a tool to facilitate their greater purpose, which is to defend you all and us in our community. If anything jumps off when the nation and the FOI is around, we are your chief defenders. All right? Well, I ain't seen them jump off lately. That's because when they're around, nothing jumps off.
That's right.
What we have to do now is expand the ranks. Drop my tag. We have to expand the ranks, and we have to be in more places at more times in order to stop the madness that's going on. So in reality, what we're saying to you is this: the Nation of Islam that you might not have loved, but you have grown up respecting, ain't went away. It is emerging. It has been here. We have been in our own internal clean. We've been in our homes, getting our spiritual and our mind right. But this particular war is about to jump off right now. I'm going to go around and allow everybody to open up and tell them more about them, tell the people more about yourself. But this is what I want you to go away with or consider while we're talking. This is not a joke. We are not trying to make ourselves big eyes and you all little U's. This is nothing personal, even though we take this movement extremely personal. This is to serve notice and to allow y'all and us to know that we ain't playing. That we are not going to sit up and allow outside forces and internal forces to destroy the moral fabric and the beauty of our people. We ain't playing. And anybody who is playing in this struggle are going to be at an extreme disadvantage when we confront you first, generally, and second, more specifically. This is a call to all the brothers and sisters in the various schools of thought for us to get on the telephone, 310-625-0999, and holler at your brothers so we can come to your city, dead any beef, squash any disagreement, and then go to work. If you are not interested in unity and collective group effort, you are absolutely being declared on this day an enemy to the Nation of Islam and our people in general. If we are not united, if we cannot put down our ego, if we cannot rise above our personal agendas into the agenda of the collective, then you are not the leader and you are not the man or woman that you claim to be if you think you're in a position of leadership amongst our people. I hope I make myself clear on that. We don't intend on offending anybody. We don't intend on it. But we know dang well that in the course of this talk, we will offend some people. Probably not here, but in YouTube land or wherever this tape is going to be played. So with that, I greet you in peace, and I want to bring in Brother Michael first. Go ahead, Sam.
My particular expertise is in the field of military science. This is a course of study and something that I've been studying for the past 29, going on 30 years. I'm actually a United States Marine Corps veteran. I served 4.5 years in the Marine Corps, but I was discharged as a conscientious objector. That's actually on my DD 214. I heard the teachings of young Miss Louis Farrakhan first in 1990 as a NCO or corporal in the Marine Corps, and my love for my people. I'm originally from Washington, D.C., so I grew up around black folks. I love black folks. We got our issues, but we all family. And his words to me, it caused me to have a different type of love and understanding, appreciation for our struggle. And I saw my position in the military as being staunchly contrast and opposed to our struggle and our rise. And so I wanted to get on the right side, and I went through the process of conscious objecting. So please understand that when I speak about military science, I'm not talking about what the white man teaches of military science. I'm not talking about that which perpetuates white supremacy. I'm actually talking about the study that they took from us. So I always come from that perspective. Elijah Muhammad taught us that we also get at the root of a thing. Whenever we study any subject, and we know through history and through study that the black man and the black woman are the originator of everything that is in creation. So anytime I speak on military science, it is from that perspective. I would just like to share a couple of things real quick and I'll pass the mic on. In my study, and as we're presenting Islam locked and loaded, we're not talking about Islam as a religion. We're talking about Islam in the facet of how the Elijah Muhammad presented it to us, which he said was the nature of the black man and black woman. That's what we're speaking about. So regardless of our differences, our trains of thought, our particular ideologies, theologies, philosophies on Islam, we're not talking about that which divides us. We're talking about the nature of that which unites us. Sun Tzu, or some people would call him Sun Tzu, in this treatise called Bing Fa, which is also known as The Art of War. In chapter 9, he spoke on the new ring army. And one thing that he said about galvanizing the army, he said, direct them to cultural arts, unify them to martial arts. So the Islam locked and loaded force is dealing with a cultural revolution, a cultural movement. I hear those in the hip-hop community speak about the culture of vultures. And what is a vulture? It's a scavenger bird that picks over the dead remains of that which is no longer in existence. So when we speak about a culture vulture, we're speaking of those entities that are picking over the remains in undertone. We're really saying that the hip-hop culture is dead. It's been taken from us and we recognize that. So when we speak of revolution means change. We also speak of a renaissance, which means a rebirth. So we need revolution and we need a renaissance when it comes to hip-hop. If we are to be directed to the cultural arts, we're lost. Anyone that's lost needs direction. So to direct us through cultural arts, when someone else has seized our art and is directing our youth and directing their minds and influencing the way we dress, the way we talk, act, speak, think, and exist, we have to take that back. So what is missed in that understanding of the culture vultures and what they've taken over, is that we are no longer in power. We are no longer the forefront in the hip-hop community. We no longer represent what hip-hop originally represented, which was the voice of the people. It's been more commercialized. We're taking it back. So the demonstration that everyone has been picking over, catching feelings about, making comments about, giving their ideology about what it represents with our brother Jay Electronica, just stop. Because that was a demonstration to show that it's not deep. The consciousness of hip-hop is not deep. We did not do that to offend anyone. We did that as a demonstration of unity between the Nation of Islam, the 5%ers, the NUD. All of those are on board with us. Many are still in the winds, whispering and murmuring. But eventually we'll get them too. Because our effort is about unity. They keep us arguing about our differences, and we stop talking about those things that we have in common, which keeps it. So the sad part is, even though divide and conquer, divide and rule is perpetuated by those who are controlling the system of white supremacy, today we divide ourselves. So now we are trying to establish a common language, a cultural revolution that we can all agree and rally around. That's hip-hop. So lastly, I want to say, the lowest status or the lowest condition that a people or a group or any organization can exist is confusion. There are many of us in the so-called conscious community, the Nation of Islam, 5%, we say we have what's called knowledge of self. So you think because you have knowledge of self that you're not confused. But can you be confused with the knowledge of self? Yes, you can, if you don't know where you are. So if I could just real briefly read over something, I always share this in any of my presentations that I do. There are 9 common elements found in a combat environment. Now understand, are there any veterans in the house? Veterans of armed forces? 1, 2, okay. Brother with no I'm talking about. But here's the kicker. I'm going to go down these 9 elements found in the continent environment. And what you're going to find is you may be able to identify and relate to just about all or most of them. The first is violent, unnerving sights and sounds. Violent, unnerving sights and sounds. Just hold on to whatever thought comes to your mind when I read that. The second is casualties, or loss of life. The third is confusion and lack of information, also known as fog of war or friction. It could be a literal fog of war, or it could be a mental fog. Next is the feelings of isolation. You mean it's by yourself. It's just you. The fifth is communications breakdown. And I always say this is probably the chief operative causing the factor in the divorce rate in America. Communications breakdown. Next is the individual discomfort and physical fatigue. Next is fear, stress, and mental fatigue. The eighth one is continuous operations, ongoing things, your job, your duties as a father or mother. It seems like it never ends. Continuous operation. And lastly, homesickness. Many of us may be displaced not from the Philadelphia. I'm not from Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. originally, but I get homesick from time to time. Even though every time I go there, they remind me why I left. Out of all these 9 elements found in the combat environment, everywhere that I've gone, I present this information. I always do a kind of census as to who are veterans, and you can identify with that. The majority are usually not veterans of the armed forces, but when I do a show of hands or a survey as to who can relate to all, if not most of these elements, everybody usually generally agrees. So I ask the question, what does that say about your environment? That you live in a combat environment. So now we have established where you are. So when Brother Philip's saying we are at war, yes we are. What is war? War is any active hostility or struggle. So now that you understand the 9 common elements found in the combat environment, I ask the question, which of those elements do you control? Which of those elements do you have say-so over? Which of those elements can you change or reconstitute to your favor and put yourself in an advantage? Those are the questions that must be asked because we are at war. The Honorable Muhammad taught us that our unity is more powerful than a hydrogen bomb. So unity is actually the counter for white supremacy. Unity is the counter for divide and conquer. Thank you. I'm late.
For 80 plus years, we've been here, and we ain't going nowhere. And Islam is locked and loaded. The lines out the cage and the Allah team are crisscrossing this country, and we're going to make sure that you know that, and we're going to bring it to your neck. I personally like a whole lot of brothers that have come before us that I utilize and I look at as shining examples of where we need to go. And I'm hoping that you can build with us on those principles. See, it's brothers like Cesar Chavez, who mobilized and organized in a very non-violent way to get his people, our people, their rightful place dealing with agriculture. He cared about the migrant farm work. I got a personal love and affinity for Robert Mugabe, who clearly is saying, white folks, this is not your land. This is stolen land. It belongs to the original black man, and you have no place here. So go find you somewhere to be. All praise to Allah. I got a personal love and respect for Brother Robert Williams, who organized in the country and put before the world the Republic of New Africa. These are all brilliant ideas that we should adopt and make sure that we make their dreams manifest and come true. All of us have children. If you don't have no children, get some, because they're the best asset that you could ever have. We fear having children out of the ability of how am I going to provide for my children? How am I going to feed my children? The birds don't worry about having other birds for the lack of food. The earth is plentiful. But we don't go to the earth like the birds and go and seek out our bounty. We wait on somebody else to do for us what we can do for ourselves. Man, you don't see no birds standing in no food line. Man, they going to get a worm. We sit and watch the news. CNN. Over the 4th of July weekend, over 80-something people shot up in the city of Chicago. 27, 30-something people killed in the city of Chicago over the weekend. And we wonder, what's wrong with them people? Gun violence. Why? Why do we carry guns? We got low self-esteem issues. We got anger issues. We frustrated, irritated. Why? Because the devil taught us to eat the wrong food when we were babies. That's why they fear now that they're a big man. But if we can correct that, if we get back to the land, if we get back to the earth, that's one thing I don't care what you're going to do. We ain't getting no more of it. The earth is here and this is all we going to get. So we need to tap in now. When we were in slavery, we had 100% employment. Everybody had a job. And you trying to tell me that we can't go to the earth and seek some bounty for ourselves where it's plentiful if we would just go? See, what it is we got ingrained based upon what has been done to us when we were beaten, shackled, chained, our sisters taken from us, raped in front of us, men were beaten, treated like herds of cattle. So we don't want to go to the land. We associate all of that bad stuff that happened with the land. But white folks ain't tripping. They got Wall Street up in New York. They got big corporations in Wall Street that were based, that making millions and billions of dollars daily off of the backs of blacks. But we won't go and do something for ourselves. I don't want to be long-winded. But the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us a culture. And we have to have a cultural revolution today because some of us, lost bound, have been lost again and we need to be refound. Because we say we follow the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we say we follow the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But I'm telling you that you cannot even be a real Muslim unless you practice how to eat and live. I'm saying that. You can't even be a real Muslim unless you practice how to eat to live. And you can't properly practice how to eat to live unless you're growing your own food. It don't make no sense. So, Palestinians, they're fighting for their land. Getting murdered, bombed, outright killed by the Israelis. So-called Jews. Israel has killed 1,822 Palestinians in Gaza, including 377 children. 9,400 have been wounded, maimed, shot apart, lost limbs, will never fully function normally again because they're standing up and they're defending their land. We need a cultural revolution. reason why we got this gunfight, why we're being killed, and why we have such a homosexual epidemic going on in America is because we're eating the wrong food. You let these white folks tell you, eat more soy. Get your tofu. Try this diet. Try that diet. We've been given a diet by the Most High Elijah Muhammad, and if we would adopt that anywhere we go on the planet Earth, we would thrive and survive. But we trying everything that the enemy gives us, but we refuse to produce anything for ourselves. What I'm saying is we need to produce an agricultural army, and we need to go like the Republic of New Africa and go get Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, Texas, Arkansas, the whole South. We need land that is fertile and minerally rich. I know. There's a scripture that says, it talks about separating the wheat from the tare. Separating the wheat from the tare. They grow up together. And this is, you can't tell who's who. But wheat grows in seasons. My question is, when is it harvest time? We need to start looking at and paying attention who's for the liberation of our people and who's against our the liberation of our people. You got a lot of clowns in New York and other places, Detroit, these so-called RBGs, Black Power. You didn't know nothing about Black Power until you heard the Most High Elijah Muhammad. So stop it. You got clowns that want to poke at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They want to poke at the Nation of Islam. It's real dangerous when you start shaking a stick in the face of a lion.
Right off the Barnary sub-stop, Philadelphia, PA. Shot so loud you would think it was a club spot. African Americans, although we all over the web, we the hood librarians. We ship to prisons too. We reach out and deliver to those that's bitten too. But it's more than a bookstore. You want it, we got it. Mixtapes, DVDs, and culture products. Black and Nobel got our hands in a lot of projects. We welcome all to come build. The energy is positive. And remember, other team is awake and conscious. Come through and experience this place of knowledge. They say they'll put it in a book if they wanna hide it from us, but we got them books so you can buy it from us. Something to read while you on a train or riding the bus. Get your read on, food for thought, get your eat on. Black and Nobel, I buy my books at Black and